Thank you for meeting with me today. So the purpose of our meeting is to reflect on our video that we filmed for us to choose an area of the rubric that we're going to work on. You need some support in moving forward, and then kind of talk about our partnership moving forward from here.
Wonderful.
Okay, so thinking back to the video, I did have your notes in front of me. What were some things that you were most proud of?
I was really proud of the way they were able to remember the structure of it and achieve their goal of implementing advanced strategies into their evidence statements.
Okay, so implementing the strategies you went over. Okay, all right, some things that I loved. I felt like you had great academic feedback. So every single student in the classroom had some type of academically focused feedback that they were able to next steps with.
Yes.
So they knew what they rated on theirs, their evidence statement, and they knew how they needed to fix it so that they could fix it, and then they did actually fix it.
Yes.
And then also I put teacher content knowledge, because you knew a lot about strategies and things like that, so you told them like the since, when, after, because, if so. So I thought all of those things are great things to continue doing. So moving forward, how did we reflect on, hold on, how might you restructure the peer evaluation process to ensure pacing remains brisk while still allowing for high quality feedback?
Right, so that's one of the things that we implemented in our town talk today by having a specific checklist for the kids to utilize where they wrote down the steps that they needed to do and could check off, and they needed to have whiteboards or something just to jot it down. They didn't need a form. An index card would have been just fine. But they needed some sort of structure for providing the feedback because they knew how to do the task, but doing the feedback was where it got messy.
Okay, so them giving feedback to each other.
Yes, and they weren't really held accountable for giving the feedback.
Okay.
I noticed throughout, like, it was like pulling teeth. And I know that when we give feedback and they're just starting to do that, it takes a lot more time and we're still building it. But I think by implementing a better structure with whiteboards, so I have on my notes, they can have whiteboards with criteria on them. I don't ever use whiteboards because they annoy me, but I use index cards a lot, so same thing. We desk write, but the kids tend to play with that more rather than it take less time. It's like already something there. So just a simple, like, cut it up form, they would probably do really well with that. And that way they could go reflect back and use a different color for each writer or something along those lines.
Okay, let me back up for a second. So I know we talked about feedback and things like that. Is there anything other than feedback? Like, if you're looking at the lesson, was there anything else that you feel like you wanted support with? Like, what was your initial feeling that you...
Accountability.
Accountability, okay. You said different color highlighters, and so individual accountability.
Individual accountability for providing the feedback, as well as because they were initially held responsible for their final product, but they weren't held responsible for the support that they gave to other people.
Okay.
And that's where the real learning happens.
Okay, individual accountability. Okay, I like it. Okay, perfect. So how could we have maybe integrated some lead prep with like part A, part B questions in there with the evidence statements?
Oh my
Could
gosh.
that have been something?
Yeah, that would be something really good, because then if you have the part A question, and especially the multiple select part B question, teaching them how to utilize that as the evidence that they need to do. And that's actually like the next step for our next intervention group, is to take, okay, here's the question, here's that. Now, you've used the multiple choice strategies. You've used the multiple choice. Use the multiple choice to take the test, to write the essay.
Yes.
And so by providing how to use part A and part B and teaching them explicitly how to do that, I think it would be really beneficial.
Okay. Let's see. So you have really great success criteria on the board that kids could easily check off. So, okay, this is like an actual, like a real question.
Yeah.
So they have the diagnostic rubric. Do you know about that? Like the yellow and white copy of the diagnostic rubric. So we're gonna find that and maybe look at that And that could be something else that we could have students gauge their writing off of, because it's has student-friendly language in it.
Amazing.
And then we can easily have, okay, I'm already talking next steps, but since we've worked together before,
Yeah.
we've kind of built this dynamic to be able to talk about next steps. So I feel like something I was thinking about that might be something we might want to implement is having students, so with their writing, they can figure out things that they like where on that rubric they're like, it can be like a checklist for them, like here are the things that I can do already, and then here are my specific student goal, like this is Nicole's
personal
student
strengths
goal,
and weaknesses.
yes, that they're tracking.
And goals. So that's something that Kathy's been doing that, Miss Lucas has been doing that on Google Classroom
Yeah.
with Google Classroom questions. And it's
Okay.
a really easy way to keep track of it, because I find that students will lose the paper, and I'm not a paper girly, like I'm
Yeah.
not going to keep track of their
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But
No.
if it's on Google Classroom and they
Absolutely.
can just reply to themselves,
Yeah,
it's so nice
Yeah.
for them to be able to do that. So that's a great idea.
yeah, and maybe we can look into doing some things like that. Anyways, okay, so before we move on any further and talk about next steps and things like that, let's figure out an area. So an area that you want support with. So I'm hearing a lot of like accountability, student individual accountability. You have the rubric in front of you.
Yeah.
So this is the pyramid, the foundational elements pyramid. So normally you try to start with the bottom and kind of work your way up.
Yeah.
I feel like with standards and objectives, you went over your standards and objectives, you had great criteria that went into it. We were able to see if students mastered that criteria by the end of the class period with their final evidence statement that they had, which kind of tagged into activities and materials. Maybe we might look at academic feedback, because maybe that's kind of where we were looking at.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab my rubric and you can.
Because just because there's a lot of feedback being given doesn't mean that it's being beneficial and that it's a smooth process.
Yeah.
And so before we can get into like the pacing and structure, the feedback process has to, like, that's going to impact all of that.
And if you feel like any of these do not match with what we're trying to do, we can always look at these too. So we can look at any of them. But
My things were feedback, pacing and structure, and problem solving.
okay, so let's
And
look
accountability.
at those.
Always accountability.
Yeah, we'll look at those three, and then we'll figure out which one we want to kind of work on this semester.
Oh, I want to work on feedback.
Perfect. So
Like I know what I want to work on. I just
Okay.
am identifying all the things that I need to work on.
okay, well let's look at academic feedback in the rubric and pick one of those indicators to really hone in on.
Okay. I like to start at the 5, honestly.
So I do too.
Okay. Because I don't accept 2s and 3s, and why am I setting my goal there?
Yeah, I agree.
Oral and written feedback is consistent with no. Frequently is frequently given. Circulates during instructional activities. Provide individual feedback. Feedback from students is regularly used to monitor and adjust instruction. Students give specific and clear feedback to each other based on the teacher's expectations. That one. The last bullet. Students give specific and clear feedback to each other based on the teacher's expectations. And in order to get there, first I have to make my expectations for the feedback clear.
Okay, perfect.
So that's
So those are some things. Right.
Yes, I'm so sorry, my nose is like
Oh, no.
leaking. Sorry guys.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Okay, so again, we can talk about next steps and things that we'll put in place to kind of work on that. So where do you feel like on the Marzano scale you are now? Do you feel like you're not using, beginning, developing, applying, or innovating?
Applying.
Okay, so we want to move to
Innovating.
innovating. Okay. All right. Okay. And since we kind of worked together last semester, you kind of know how the goals are set. So again, we'll set a teacher goal, which our teacher goal will just be to move from applying to innovating in academic feedback, and then I'll specifically put that last bullet in there. And then we'll set a student goal. So our student goal.
The student goal, since it's going into innovating, should be very similar to the teacher goal, right?
Yes.
That's how I understand it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that whatever it is we're tracking, we can.
The students can also track.
That would be great if the kids can also track it. It can be, we can track it to a benchmark.
Mhm.
So this is an example that somebody had used in a previous one. It doesn't have to be a test. It can be, I don't know, a quiz. It can be like when exit tickets, like we can look at a progression of exit tickets. So maybe they just quickly write, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, like, you know, we had evidence statements, like maybe they just quickly write the evidence statement in here and then that would be their exit ticket.
Mhm.
So we can track it through things like that and then have like whatever the culminating task would be for like their final data piece.
I like that.
I mean, whatever. We can just start thinking about it and we can always sit down and look at the data and pull the data up and talk about baseline and all those types of things and what we're looking for and then set what that would be.
All right.
Sound good? So we'll just set up a time to kind of do that together. That'll be our next step.
Okay, that
Sounds good?
sounds amazing. I have an idea for, okay, so here's,
It's okay.
okay, student paragraph. And then this is after I had taught specifically how to do feedback.
Oh, yes.
So I used to be really good at this. However, moving content levels,
Yeah.
whew,
That's okay.
you know?
Yeah, because you had to learn, you had to like get with the
Right.
content before you can figure out the.
And I finally feel like I'm getting there.
Okay.
And I'm getting to know the students' maturity level and what they know, because I need to know have the teacher knowledge of students. Like,
Yes.
I'm good at knowing them personally, but I need to know where they are.
Yeah.
And I'm got that now. And so I feel like we could go into this and show them this, but you see where it's already on a Google question. There's their response. I'm having one problem with Google Classroom. It is not allowing students to reply to each other to give feedback. It's supposed to.
Okay.
Nicole Fall and all have
Yeah.
played with it and put in tickets and all of that stuff. It's not resolved,
Okay.
and I thought it had been resolved.
Okay.
But this group of kids, same thing.
Okay, I'll try to look into it and see what the
Thanks.
deal
I'm gonna
is
put
with that.
another ticket into Incident IQ, but
Okay. And
Just
I'll try
haven't
to,
gotten to that
yeah,
point
I'll
yet.
try to see what I can do too.
okay,
Sounds good? Okay.
amazing.
All right, thanks.
And we'll create a little topic in our Google Classrooms so that each time the kids reflect, that goes into that student work reflections.
Okay, sounds good.
Just one sec, Alex. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks.